Hey, what's up guys, up here. So today we're going to be once again talking about Ubisoft. Now I think everyone's aware of their recent challenges involving Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows. However, nobody's really heard anything from their development team and what they think about the recent wave of criticism they have been facing for these related titles. Today, we're going to get some insight on what they actually think about this criticism, and it's really bad. Let's just be honest, it's really bad. Basically, they dismiss all criticism being launched their way as toxic gamer talk. In fact, their general policy when it comes to criticism is to simply ignore it. So they think they know better than you, and they are simply not taking criticism for any of their games, including the two big releases for this year. But overall, we know there's a lot of difficulty going on at Ubisoft, and these two games that we've mentioned, Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows, are not the only games that have flopped this year. In fact, we recently learned that X-Defiant is struggling. According to the words of Ubisoft themselves, they are very concerned about this game. In fact, they are worried about the low player count of this game currently, and they are worried about things not turning around in time for Season 3 of that game. However, the main two, as we have discussed, is Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows, and things just keep getting worse for Star Wars Outlaws. I think everyone's aware that their sales for this game have been outright abysmal. The game itself is a buggy mess that should have had a lot more time put into it before it was released, and now we're seeing a French video game union taking advantage of the Star Wars Outlaws' failure to call upon Ubisoft employees to strike the company. Yes, they have several demands that they're launching as a part of this proposed strike, saying that they want more remote work privileges and what have you, and also an increase to all salaries to compensate for a drop in living standards in recent years. In fact, they even want to go further and open up a social dialogue that will help out whatever goals they're trying to do here. So they're using this situation with Star Wars Outlaws to launch a strike for various other reasons that they want in terms of their rights as employees and their salaries as well. But the other half of this story is, of course, Assassin's Creed Shadows. We know how badly this game is going. It's been a difficult spot for Ubisoft really this entire year, and the trailers released for this upcoming game have been abysmal. I mean, the Western version of this trailer is getting dislike bombed, but nothing's getting dislike bombed harder than the Ubisoft Japan version of this trailer that has about a 98% dislike ratio. And I saw this tweet and it's kind of funny. So this person's saying, damn, next year is not going to be fun for the incels. The rest of us are going to be eating though, referring to these various releases for 2025. However, they left out Assassin's Creed Shadows because that game has also been delayed to 2025. And the reason for that is really kind of up in the air. A lot of people believe that this delay was the result of Ubisoft trying to basically duck the controversy. They're under so much controversy right now. Maybe they're just hoping a couple months will pass and people will forget everything going on with this game and all of the bad will that their company has generated surrounding this game, but I don't really think that's going to happen. Plus, it seems like Ubisoft is doing something very stupid every other day, including a recent set of developments we're going to cover in this video, coming from a video that Legendary Drops made where he talked to some Ubisoft devs, and it's really bad, okay? So they go into many different insights about what's going on with the company, but the main thing that I think will really shock you is their discussion about criticism that they're facing for their various games.
So I spoke with a few developers from Ubisoft to shed some light on these issues. I started off by asking how Ubisoft internalizes and discusses general criticism from players and the rest of the industry, whether that's its repetitive design, agenda-driven content, or predictable games. They responded saying, at a high level, they rarely talk about it. At a project level, they brush it off as toxic gamer talk. As Asmongold correctly pointed out in a video of his, Ubisoft is filled with toxic positivity that prevents any growth. I then asked, what about the Japanese community's backlash over Assassin's Creed Shadows? It's obvious that they haven't done their research, and even the smallest details are going to be noticed by a culture that's as proud as the Japanese. They responded by saying that the criticisms haven't been talked about, and they've only issued demands that we mustn't engage with discussion on that topic publicly. Meaning everything that we've said up until this point, all the criticism that we've had over the years for Ubisoft games, even that of the industry itself, has fallen on deaf ears. I don't know if it's sad or if it's it's somewhat cathartic to have that validated.
That's right. They are dismissing all criticism as either toxic gamer talk and slash or just outright ignoring it as a whole. This is Ubisoft, ladies and gentlemen. No criticism is allowed, okay? They think they know better than you. The audacity for them to do this in the first place and also admit it. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of very concerning and weird things that studios do in-house, right? What they're thinking, their attitude towards gamers and potential customers, but they don't admit those things. Ubisoft just comes out and admits that they don't care about criticism and they haven't been listening this whole time. So the mountain of videos and tweets and all these things that are going after Ubisoft over the past year or so have fallen on deaf ears. They don't even care. They're not listening, which is insane. This is Ubisoft, who's desperate right now. And like I've said, don't just think that 2024 has been the only disaster year for Ubisoft. 2023 was also a financial disaster for the company. They lost a net of $500 million or so. And now this year they've had flop after flop after flop, including Skull and Bones, Star Wars Outlaws, and then the eventual Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is now going to be next year's first flop for Ubisoft. But yeah, that is a terrible look and a very bad time for Ubisoft. I mean, there's no good time to come out and say we don't accept criticism, but right now is just about as bad as it gets for the company. However, we're now going to turn to Paul Tassi, who's been in a lot of drama involving Ubisoft, and this tweet right here is kind of funny where he says, Asmongold, can you not do a 40-minute video on like 5 total tweets I made about Ubisoft? I am tired. Where Asmongold says it was only 39 minutes. Typical journalist lies. And you can see it is, in fact, 39 minutes. However, we know that a lot of journalists like Paul are upset about the failure of Assassin's Creed Shadows as well as Ubisoft because it really just kind of lines up more with their values and their interests. But as mad as he might be in tweets like this, where he's saying it's embarrassing that Ubisoft is admitting they're actually rattled by the culture war stuff over Outlaws and Shadows, he's not wrong. I mean, they are legitimately rattled at this point. I don't know if they just waited so long to make any sort of a movement here. Maybe they had such a big ego, they never thought they'd find themselves in a situation like this. But you can see what he's responding to, and that is the CEO basically coming out and saying, hey, we make games for entertainment, not for political views or agenda pushing or anything like that, which is a load of BS. But they are really nervous. And I don't know why it took them so long to start taking people seriously, but they are rattled by all of this stuff. That's why they're making these desperate attempts to save face and try to restore some faith in their company. And he would also make this article saying, after Assassin's Creed Shadows delay, Ubisoft acknowledges Outlaws issues, anti-woke pushback. So in that article, there's a very interesting section where it says this: with the Shadows delay, I've seen some talk in the community about how they're using this time to patch out Yasuke or reduce his role in the game as a result of all this. That's essentially impossible at this point. There is a 3-month delay for a feature-complete game, and you are not going to tear out the entire meat of the story and replace it during that time. That's just not how it works. It will indeed simply be polished, ensuring the game launches with its best foot forward in that department and has fewer bugs than Outlaws did. And I sure hope it'll have less bugs than Outlaws, which is an absolute mess. There's infinite compilations of game footage containing the most ridiculous bugs. You can find those on YouTube all over the place. But anyways, the fact that there was a conversation, or there's an idea floating around out there that Ubisoft could try to turn around this game by trying to basically edit Yasuke out of the story, the fact that this is a conversation is wild. Of course, it's too late. Like, they can't completely remove or even lower the role of Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Shadows. There's just not enough time. But the fact that it's a conversation should really tell you how bad things are for this game and Ubisoft as a result. But overall, another set of terrible looks for Ubisoft. I genuinely think they're panicking at this point. They really don't know what to do. And I think this delay, yes, they're trying to polish it, but at the same time, I think they're trying to duck some of the controversy they're currently in, and they're hoping people will forget about it and they can generate some goodwill over the next couple of months. Is that going to happen? I don't think so. I think things are going to be just as bad in February as they are now. In fact, like I said, Ubisoft has a habit recently of making things worse and worse for themselves, including going out and saying that their development team doesn't care about criticism and doesn't listen to it. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comments section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.